and I still don't like this podium title. So I hope you guys can see me there on the internet. It might just be a floating head. So hello everyone. I want to thank Cornell University, the Latino Studies program, the Latino Living Center for not only having me here tonight, but for being instrumental in my development and journey in life. And look, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, but if somewhere in my rambling tonight, you can find something that helps you believe what you already know, then my trip will have been more than worth it. So with that being said, let's get the show on the road. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. This phrase, from neither here nor there, has a lot of meaning for me, as I suspect it does for many here. As a young boy growing up in Newark, I had no such concept. Back in my hood, in my day in Newark, you were either Puerto Rican or black, non-Puerto Rican. Sure, we had some sprinklings of Cubans, but they were mostly in Union City. And we had some Dominicans, but they were rare. They hadn't yet expanded the empire out of Washington Heights. I see you. But me, I was Puerto Rican. We waved. I see you too. We waved our Puerto Rican flags in the parades in Newark and Jersey City. We had our bacandas and pasteles for Christmas. We danced salsa, were religious, and went to PR when we could scrape enough money together for a pasaje. To a very large degree, we were the quintessential Puerto Rican family. There was this seminal moment I challenged the notion of being Puerto Rican. I was 14 or so. And I had been trying to assert myself as the man of the house because that's what Bobby said I was when my parents separated. Mommy was yelling at me about something. I don't remember what it was, but she went full Spanish, which meant she was really pissed off. And I was responding to her in English, which rubbed her the wrong way. And she asked, ¿Y por qué me contestas en inglés? Tú eres puertorriqueño y me debes hablar en español. I didn't let that stand. I was thinking, I say who I am. I'm the man of the house. So we stared at each other for what felt like an eternity, but was really probably just a second. And I mustered the courage and I told her, listen, I am American and I speak English. And I tilted my chin up at her like this. And I settled it. After Mommy's chancla was done speaking to me, I knew two things. I was Puerto Rican, and Mommy was the man of the house. And for those of you who don't know what the chancla is, it's a very important family member. It's also a slipper. That was the earliest time I can remember my identity being dictated to me while I was trying to form one. But I certainly was Puerto Rican. That's undeniable. When I got to Cornell, my identity was challenged a great deal. My first semester, I lived in this building called Class of 22, which was on West Campus. And I guess I outlasted the building because they knocked it down. It's not there anymore. And I had suffered my share of snide comments. Most of them initiated due to this huge Puerto Rican flag I had on my wall next to my bed, which to my white dorm mates was a display akin to treason. And so for them, I was already an outsider. There was this one day I had put my running gear on. It was cold outside, I put a scully on, a hoodie. Most of it was black. And I headed out to the common area where the TV area was. And there was a dorm mate there, this Italian guy from Long Island. And he says, hey, Puerto Rican, where are you going dressed like that? To steal a car? another place to live before things escalated. And more conflict management strategies really are inappropriate for Cornell. Or probably anywhere else for that matter. I had you from Newark? You know what I'm talking about.
You didn't have a chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate. So I had this high school friend. She was on the first floor of the building, and she lived in this place called the Latino Living Center. And that's all it was back then. It was a floor and like 6 rooms in the basement. Am I right, Gary? And I told her about my incident. And she told me I should move to the Latino Living Center. And she invited me to this program series they had. It was called the culminating. And LSP's Professor Hector Velez, or as I used to call him, El Capitan, spoke at that Cafe Connection. But he spoke from our perspective about our identity and our experiences. His talk was uplifting, his words soothing, and it was exactly what I needed. I looked around the room, saw people, my brothers, my sisters, my professors. The following semester, I moved to the LC and later registered for El Capitan's course, and so began my ventures in our Cornell Latino microcosm. Back in 1998, my sophomore year, I saw that look, it wasn't that long ago. There was Puerto Rico held its third plebiscite on its political status, Commonwealth, statehood, or independence. And since the U.S. Congress has the final say, it's really more of an opinion poll than an act in self-determination. In the LC, we were debating its status. I had recently been inspired by the Puerto Rican independence movement with stories of Los Macheteros, Pedro Alonso Campos, and the unfurling of the Puerto Rican flag across the Statue of Liberty's forehead by Puerto Rican nationalists or independents. And Mel Gibson in the movie Braveheart, which was about the Scottish nationalist movement, but for some reason I equated them as the Puerto Ricans of the British Empire. And then, those Scots here? Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. It was with this naive view that I argued we should be independent. Another student abruptly stopped me and he asked, "Oye, ¿y de qué parte eres?" It's a very common, good-natured, and mandatory question Puerto Ricans typically ask when they meet. And it means, from what part are you? And I answer that the way I typically do. I say, my family's mostly from Arizona, Rincon. He asked again, this time with a more serious look. No, usted, pointing specifically at me. ¿De dónde eres? No, you. Where are you from? Oh, I responded, I'm from Jersey. Quickly he shouted, ¿Y qué derecho tiene usted en esta discusión? Yo vivo en Puerto Rico. What right have you to this conversation? I live in Puerto Rico. And that was one of the first times my Puerto Ricanness was challenged. It was also the first time I experienced Puerto Rican partisanship, which can be very fierce. And a schism that splits Puerto Ricans into islanders and mainlanders, whereas coined by my brothers and sisters across the Hudson River, New Yorkers, a term bucketing all what he was in the States, no matter where you're from. You could be from California, call you New Yorker. But I was from Jersey, and I wasn't especially fond of the term being applied to me. No, I don't remember how the discussion ended, but I do remember not liking a peer addressing me with usted, which Puerto Ricans don't do. And this notion of one group of Puerto Ricans dictating what it means to be Puerto Rican for all the others. The next such encounter didn't happen for many years later. I managed to find just the perfect young lady for me, hiding in, of course, New York City, in the Bronx specifically. She was more than my equal, she was my complement. And she was only recently here after graduating from the University of Puerto Rico and had planned on going back be with her family after gaining enough experience in management consulting. So I conspired to thwart her plan by having her move in with me in Jersey and by making it legit and putting a ring on her finger. Eventually the time came when I had to board a plane to meet her family, my future family. And I met her Uncle Felix on her father's side, whose company I enjoyed and he seemed to take a liking to me. During our exchange, Felix caught a glimpse of a neighbor and he put his arm around me. And he said, "Ven pa que conozca el novio americano de Zuleika." Come so you can meet Zuleika's American boyfriend or fiance. Because novio to older people means fiance. It's completely different. And I felt like I was punched right in the stomach. I even waited for a little bit for mommy's chancla to descend from the heavens and do me justice. But it never happened. Apparently it only works on me. Our last stop was her maternal grandmother. And that's how it is when I guess you're Puerto Rican, you go to the island. It's never a vacation. You're visiting your whole family everywhere and stuck in traffic these days. As I spoke with Abuelita, I guess she took note of my Spanish. And she asked, "¿Y de dónde tú eres?" A question I was really getting tired of, but I didn't want to take it out on her. So to lighten the mood, I said, "Soy Italiano de New Jersey." I said, "I'm Italian from Jersey, forget about it." She laughed, and I did too. Then she said, still smiling, "No, tú eres New Rican." My fiance giggled, but I wasn't entertained. I decided we would be eating dinner out that night. And I can imagine her family asking, "¿Por qué se va? ¿Y qué le pasa? Why are you leaving him? What's wrong with him?" And Abuelita responding, "No sé, pero él es de New Jersey." I don't know, but he's from New Jersey. Truly, ni de aquí ni de allá, right? The gringos I work with never mistook me for an Americano, and now both sides of my fiance's family didn't recognize me as Puerto Rican. To say I was upset would have been an understatement. Now, I can look back at those events with ever slightly more wisdom and maturity. See, humans have evolved categorical minds, and all things being equal, the qualities and characteristics that are different are used as the identifiable attributes in a categorization process. On the island, I'm seen as a Boricua that lives in America. But I don't live and breathe day in and day out the realities of life on the island. Wherever I go on the island, I'm treated with kinship and with love, except in traffic. And I can't recall anyone having told me I'm not Puerto Rican. However, in the States, my reality is living here and choosing to identify as Puerto Rican. Choosing. Look, you can't flip out at every person that perceives you in a way you don't like, because you'll be doing a lot of flipping. The horde of uninformed people are endless, and every now and then you're going to be a member of the horde, but not frequently, because you went to Cornell. And the horde is going to get it wrong, most of the time not out of malice, but because they come from a different experience and a different reality. Your job will be to lead by example. Dedication, hard work, perseverance, the very things you're doing right now, or should be. I found these much more effective and compelling tools, rather than using every slight suffer as an opportunity to school the horde. And I'm going to make a lot of friends that way either. Many of you here span 2 or more worlds. You are where these worlds intersect, and you can act as a conduit between them. The truth is, that really you are de aquí y de allá, from here and from there. Not only are you going to bridge these worlds, you are, throughout your lifetime, going to span some economic spectrum. Take me for example, and not to sound like Drake, I started at the bottom 1%. Let me read this list here. Food stamps, WIC, welfare, Social Security, Section 8, single parent household, Medicaid. That was my lot. Me and Zuleika, my wife, we took those humble backgrounds. We earned our degrees. Right now, Zuleika's pursuing her MBA. And honey, I'm so very proud of you and I love you. You know, that someone said behind every great man is a woman, a great woman, but they didn't have a wife like mine. She's out in front eating, and I'm happy to let her. Besides, the view's much nicer from back there. So. That wasn't in my speech. And now we're at the cusp of the top 1% of the American socioeconomic ladder. However, unlike Drake, all my people were not here. With all that achievement, it comes upon the backs of those that came before us, carried us, mentored us, and helped us. So we need to go about with gratitude and dignity, and to honor them by giving it our very best at whatever it is we do. You start by obtaining a world-class education, which will open many doors for you. However, courses in LSP act as a force multiplier, helping us understand where we have been so we can know where we have to go, or at the very least know where we shouldn't go. That's just as valuable. For me, courses in Spanish for heritage speakers allowed me to travel to Latin America and speak with bank and insurance executives, to lead projects in Spain, Portugal, and Mexico. LSP courses in government and sociology gave me context and confidence to deal with or avoid difficult situations, policies, and practices that will negatively impact me or my family. But those are my simplistic usages. What you learn in LSP courses is equally applicable outside of the Latino experience, such as Western administration officials scratching their heads asking why in God's name, literally, any of their citizens would join ISIS. Well, we know why. Because their society rejected them as Muslim, not British or American enough, while another group accepts them, tells them they're needed, and offers them a spot in their Islamic caliphate. Had sensible policies been instituted that didn't marginalize these youth, they would be back home contributing to their societies, rather than dying in a desert somewhere. You could help develop those policies. Or how about someone saying, an embargo isn't going to work? We tried getting Cuba and it failed. All it did was tighten Castro's grip on the island and make it difficult for a whole nation of people, forcing refugees across shark-infested waters for a chance to make it on dry land. By the way, it's the same failed policy we use in North Korea and Iraq, and look at that mess. You could provide alternatives with this context you have. Or pointing out an immigration law is going to create a humanitarian crisis on our southern border, where desperate families sending their children on dangerous journeys to the land of the free, only to be stuffed into detention centers, where they sleep, eat, and defecate in the same cell with all the other Latin American children whose efforts were in vain. How about we reform our immigration policy so we don't endanger the lives of children and then send them back after a most harrowing journey? You in this room will have ways we can fix this. Let me try a more lighthearted example. Your multinational food company with billions in annual revenue is trying to crack the Puerto Rican market, but doesn't know how. You understand the evolving dietary trends and your company's product line. You recommend they mix their ketchup and their mayonnaise products with a touch of garlic and a hint of lemon. It sounds disgusting until you make a batch of manufacturing and serve it with tostones to your executives. Within a year, it's the #1 condiment on the island for such a trivial investment. And now you're the vice president of Latin American product development. It's a true story. See, you'll become a valuable resource. Your contributions, both great and small, are not only for the advancement of our community, but to create a more perfect union in our nation, because we are una familia. It starts here. Look around this room. These people will be your elite power base. Put aside petty differences and forge ahead together today for a greater opportunity tomorrow, so that when positions at a hospital, university, law firm, government, etc. become available, you can help place our qualified and talented people and make it that much easier for those coming up behind you. My only regret was that between my major in computer science and concentration in electrical engineering, I couldn't take more LSP courses. I really wanted that LSP concentration, but your boy was maxed out on Munoz. And it's an even bigger problem today. So I say to you, your time here is extremely precious. Take advantage of what LSP is offering. You don't know when, if ever, you're going to have world-class professors available to educate you and enlighten you. Professors from various walks of life that are well-known, published, and respected in their fields. Your professors. Not only that, you have access to Marty. Who for me is the real gem of LSP. She's probably the most compassionate, selfless, and caring person I've ever known. Don't start crying on me because I'm going to start crying. I learned as much from you as I did from anyone else in the university. Drink some water. You know, I couldn't in good conscience pass up those opportunities. Certainly not when those before me put their professional and academic careers on the line so that we could have those privileges. There'll be plenty of time after Cornell for wine tasting, basket weaving, and pottery making. In fact, you could do all of that on one Royal Caribbean cruise. So make the most of your time here now at Cornell. And just to recap, first, ¿de dónde eres? From wherever you damn well please. Because you are de aquí, fíjate. It's gotta be on your terms. It's your life. It's your identity. Second, take advantage of the LSP resources at your disposal. Don't squander them. Third, form your power base and network from here, from those within and outside of the community, so you can fulfill your role as a bridge between worlds. And fourth, contribute to the cause while helping shape your nation for the greater good. The whole country will benefit from sensible policies and successful business people not disconnected from the real world. I end here with another story, but before that, I want to thank you, brothers and sisters, for this opportunity. For me, it was truly an honor and a privilege to have shared this moment with all of you. And now for that story. I woke up one morning and put my wife's Puerto Rico chanclas on because mine had been hijacked. And I headed into the kitchen. Sophia, my 5-year-old, was there seated at the kitchen island. And I started speaking to my wife while I made my café mostero. I mentioned something about my Mexican co-workers from a recent trip to Mexico City. And Sophia asked me, Daddy, what's a Mexican? I tell her, they are people from or whose family are from the country of Mexico. Sophia furrowed her brow. Daddy? Oh, and I said, and they speak Spanish like we do. But we are Puerto Rican. And then Sophia furrowed her brow. She said, Daddy, I'm not Puerto Rican. I'm a girl. Lifting her chin up at me like this, asserting her identity with authority. I raised an eyebrow, and I took my chanclas and I sat next to her at the kitchen island with a smirk. Yes, my hija. Yes, you are. She nodded with approval. And there we sat, her eating her Lucky Charms, and me with my café con leche. Thank you, everyone. I wish you all health, happiness, and much success.